Hey guys, as y'all see, my mouth is full with Dunkin' Donuts. I want to thank them for sponsoring us. We're here at Streetside Classics today. We're doing our monthly podcast show, Full Welcome Work. And we have a special guest. And I say special guest because it's an old friend of mine, he's a brother. And I get the privilege of interviewing him for some needs that we have here in Fort Worth. And so I tell you, I thought about this when I was doing my question, and I wanted to keep it business and not personal.
Okay.
You know, and so you have to separate things, and sometimes it's difficult to do it. You know, because I know our relationship, and I also know the relationship in the business. So both of them is basically personal to me, but we're gonna keep it good today. You know, but we're gonna circle back when we have that round table and get into some good. You know.
Okay. Okay.
And so today we have Mr. Kobby Warren with Warren and Healy Law Firm. IGotCharged.com.
Yeah.
Y'all see that. And so, Mr. Warren, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, I just didn't want to dive into the legal matters, the things in the community. Tell us about the family. I want to also, lovely wife, Miss Melanie. Tell us about the family. I saw on social media, filming.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good morning. Kobby Warren, originally from Fort Worth, born and raised, went away to Morehouse College for undergrad, then I went to Howard up in DC for law school. Came back home, was a prosecutor for 50 years in Dallas County, and I've been doing defense work. Had my own firm for coming up on close to 10 years. Married, anniversary of 20 in the next couple of weeks. Beautiful wife Melanie, thank you so much, dear. 3 daughters. My oldest is 18. She's a freshman at Spelman College in Atlanta. I have a sophomore in high school, and then I also have my third daughter is in 6th grade. So we live in the mid cities, and you know.
All right. Well, we're gonna dive into. So, was your path always cut out? You knew you was gonna be a lawyer? Did you?
For a very, very long time, I was in Jackie Jill Cotillion when I was in high school, and I was a little biography we had to write for ourselves. My original ambition was to be a judge, but not saying that it couldn't happen or won't happen, but right now I'm content in being a business and firm owner.
Okay. All right. So, a family man, businessman. You had those plans to be a lawyer. You know that's great. These kids that we work with out here, I'm gonna get into the community. They really don't have plans.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But I know you was blessed. You had a mom and a dad at home.
I did. Yes.
You know that's a blessing right there. But even outside of that, how important was having a plan?
Oh, it's invaluable. You know, and I think a lot of times with, especially people that don't, or children or even people in general that don't really understand how a plan works or how to develop a plan or how to see a plan through, they set these big lofty goals. And it's fine to have a big lofty goal.
Right.
However, when having a big lofty goal, it takes a lot to get to that goal.
Okay.
And sometimes what happens is people aim for the big lofty goal. It may take longer than what they anticipate, or there may be some failures or setbacks during that process. They get discouraged, and then what happens?
Right.
They give up on it. And so what I tell people is it's great to have a big lofty goal. You know, like me, I wanted to be an attorney, but that couldn't be my only thing. So in order to get to an attorney, it had to be stepping stones.
Right.
So, you know, one, obviously I can't be an attorney if I don't graduate high school.
No.
So let's start there. You know, secondly, then now I have to get a college degree. Thirdly, I have to go to law school. So each and every one of those things are little mini goals. We take smaller steps, and with each step and each completion of that mini goal, I get confidence.
Exactly.
And so I see success. I see myself a step closer.
Exactly.
And that's with anything. Like I tell these kids or my clients that, you know, any little goal that you set and accomplish, that's a win.
Exactly.
And then you get that motivation, you get that inspiration to continue. And next thing you know, you'll look up and you're there.
Exactly.
And now you need to set another goal.
Exactly. That's kind of similar. Y'all know when we do our financial literacy classes, when we do our debt payoff, you know, there's multiple ways of doing debt payoff. Pay your high interest first. Pay who you negotiate down with first. But we start with that snowball effect.
Yeah.
You do that small debt to get motivated.
That's right.
To keep it going.
Yep.
See what I'm saying? And that just, I think that just works for the mindset, the motivation, because a lot of these things that you're going through, regardless if you have both parents at home or one parent, or if you're going house to house, it doesn't matter. The real thing is you're that person who's responsible, accountable for your life.
For you.
You see what I'm saying?
For you. The decision making at the end of the day is yours.
Exactly.
And you have to own it. You know, and that's obviously, and whenever I meet people normally in their worst situations, you know, they're having to make, you know, some are really honestly life or death decisions that they have to make. And when they say, well, let me talk to, you know, whether it's my wife or let me talk to my mother, and I said, it's all fine and good. However, that decision has to be on you. Because the circumstance of that decision is going to fall back on you. The same way, whatever the crime was, when you decided to do that crime, that was your own decision. Exactly. It wasn't anyone else's.
Nobody put a gun to your head.
That's right.
The majority of the time, nobody got a gun to your head,
Right.
And you're making that decision. Plus, I just wanted, you just said something, oh, let me talk to my mom, let me talk to my uncle. It was my mom and my uncles and my aunts who I got with when my issue came. But you don't want nobody to make that decision, because if it goes wrong, guess what? You're going to be mad at them.
That's right.
You know, you can't be mad at somebody who, your situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't want to give somebody that much control.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For something that you screw up. Eventually, if you screw up and get caught and get found guilty, now the state got control.
Absolutely.
So that's something you want to avoid. You know what I mean?
And I want to make sure that I'm not people aren't misunderstanding what I'm saying. It's absolutely great to have wise counsel.
Right.
And I'm not even saying, I'm not speaking professional. I'm not talking about an attorney. Okay. I'm talking about having someone that you can trust and rely on to give you that good hard advice. You know, sometimes it could be a homeboy or a homegirl or a brother, or it could be your mom or your father or uncle, or you know, somebody at church would be a coach. But the key word there is wise. You know, like a lot of my clients get terrible advice. They literally do, like advice. And
I'm going to share one of your experiences.
I'm just, like, and it's just like some of the folks mean well, but they don't really understand, you know, what they're doing. I can take it back to the Central Park case up in New York, Central Park 5, where they, you know, where the young man was blamed for raping the lady. Okay, it was a while ago.
Okay.
But what happened, and it still happens to this day, and so the families, when the police came, they took the young men in there, just tell them whatever they want to know. Well, that's awful advice. Your first call, if you get detained or called in for questioning, just to call an attorney. Sure. So you need to call an attorney, because you don't know clearly what they say. They're going to tell you anything you say can and will be used against you. And I can promise you that is true. I can also promise you that detectives can lie to you. So there are things that they're going to get you to say, and want you to say, to lie, hey, well, this person over here is saying this. And you so you admit to things, and now you make their job easy for you. You know, and all the time it's not. There's a huge distinction between innocent and not guilty. Okay. You may not be innocent, but you could be not guilty because the state can't prove your case. And so any kind of state,
to the state,
or the judge or the jury to make the decision of whether or not they believe there's sufficient evidence. And so you may have done something, but they don't have evidence. But if you go in there and give them everything, you make the job easy.
Exactly. Well, I tell you what, you know, like I said, detectives can lie to you. I experienced that. Other state officials can lie to you. I experienced that. But, you know, this is not about me today. I can say, and I will say, one thing I do want to get into is the black and white, where I just sit there and say it wasn't about me, but it's actually about me. So one of my first cases was in high school, and I got in trouble. Me and my buddy, he's white, man, same brother, but at the same time, got out a little different times, you know what I'm saying? But nothing happened with him. I got probation, I got all these fines and everything. I'm like, man, you want probation? I didn't get nothing. I'm like, what you mean? Yeah, I didn't get nothing. I came home. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh man, come on now. So tell me how that go. You know, is that still happening? Is it?
Well, there has been.
Okay.
There is, and there probably always be some disparity in the criminal justice system.
Okay.
So what I say is definitely based along racial lines. Probably not. It's really more so along socioeconomic lines.
Okay.
And So the more money you know, the better attorney you can hire, the better things that can be done for you.
Right.
To present certain things and information to the prosecutor for better deals or to get the cases, dismissed. And obviously, it depends on what kind of crime or charge we're talking about. But really now, the largest issue is going to be, like I said, socioeconomic. Like it really is.
Because you it's just like anything else. We here at Streetside Classic, these cars here are top-notch cars. But if you go down to any car dealership on Lancaster, you're gonna pay for what you get. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that we're gonna dive into is how to find an attorney, how to ask questions for an attorney. What's the right attorney for you? And that's actually my next question is, when someone's reaching out for an attorney, what are some questions they need to ask that attorney besides just what's your fees?
Well, the fees are going to come. Don't you worry about that. The attorney's got to quote the expenses.
Right.
But to make yourself comfortable and understand whether it's a good fit is you need to know about the attorney's experience.
Okay.
And then you need to know how it feels. How does he or she, how do they interact with you? If you bring your family with you, are they speaking to them? Are they respectful to them?
Okay.
All attorneys are not. Some are very short, some are very condescending. How does this attorney feel? Do you feel confident in this person? Because depending on the kind of crime that you're talking about, this attorney will literally have your life in his hands. And you need to be confident in that. You need to be comfortable in that relationship. And more importantly, you really have to find a lawyer that's going to be honest. And when I say be honest is, for instance, for me, like I was honest all the time because I'm too honest in regards to my assessment of the case. Okay. They come in and I'm like, hey man, from what you're telling me, it doesn't sound good. Like there's a very high probability that you're going to go to prison, and it will probably be for a good amount of time. Now we can work and try to get the sentence reduced or some of this thing. And I said, but you can go find an attorney that's going to tell you the complete opposite.
Toe to toe.
Yeah, he's going to tell you what you want to hear, but you're going to wind up back in the same situation where we are right now.
It might get more time.
And I say that's what I tell them. I'm not willing to lie to you and get your money, get your food. Like I can't. It doesn't rest well with my soul to lie to you and say, oh, that's this. And also another thing, I tell people all the time, they'll come in and say, well, what do you think? And I was like, well, the only thing that I have right now is just your one side. Like I hear what you're telling me. I don't know what the prosecutor has. I don't know what kind of evidence they have or anything like that. So for anybody to give you and say, oh, I think I can do this, they're lying to you because they don't have enough information.
Speaking of the prosecutor, because you've been on both sides.
Absolutely.
Being the assistant district attorney in Dallas. Mm-hmm. So you kind of got an inside too. So if I'm looking for an attorney, I did a crime, or might not have done a crime, just guilty by association, whatever it is. I think they will respect that part, because you kind of got the inside on the other side. When you said research, know what your attorney is looking for, the experience, that's in your resume. You know what I'm saying? So I can see how that'd be an easy fit. You tell me, hey man, it's not looking good, like you're gonna get something. Why would they go testify? Why would they?
People, especially in dire situations, they want to feel comfortable. Just like a child. As a child, when you got in trouble.
Okay.
So you want the least amount of punishment possible.
Right. Start crying before you get there.
So as I became a parent now, so my daughters would go to their grandparents.
Okay.
For us, because it was it's okay, baby. Whereas us, the discipline is going to be much stronger.
Exactly.
So the client wants to go to someone who makes them feel better. Although it may not be the reality of the situation, they want to feel better about it. And it's not the reality.
One of my things is, I work with the juvenile kids, I work with the prison release kids, I work with some adults out here. The first thing when they get out of prison, they know what their skill sets are. They know they got to put food in their stomach, they need a place to stay. So when people start working with them and they say, oh, don't go get a job. It's hard for them to get a job.
It is hard.
But it's easy for them to get right back in their groove, their trap. So my thing is, I come to them, I'm going to be honest with you, I tell them, hey man, go get your job. But realistically, they say, hey, bro, man, I'm back hustling. you know. And I want you to just be honest with me and tell me if I'm telling them the right thing or would you suggest me going a different route. You know, I tell them, hey man, if that's what you have to do right now, go ahead and do it. But eventually, you're going to be right back in the same place you did. So, know what you're crying with. Know how much time it is. Know what the bond is. Know what an attorney going to cost. Because you're going to need those three things eventually if you keep on going in that track. So, do you feel, because some of the mentors that we work with, and I'm not going to name names, they don't feel that I should tell them that. But I'll be lying to them I don't want them to, you know, they gotta eat, they gotta need a place to stay. I don't want you on Lancaster or Rodale with a sign, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? So am I telling them the right thing, telling them the wrong thing? I know.
I understand what you're saying, but the reality of what you're saying is also true. It's very difficult for them to find jobs. A lot of them, they don't have the educational background. So a lot of them have dropped out of school, so they don't, you know, all about them don't have their GED, so they're not qualified. They're like, you know, people say, well, they're hiring signs all over. There are. However, you know, either they don't have the education, they don't have the experience, and on top of all that, now they become a regular. There could be theft, it could be violent. All these people bargaining people on a regular, you know, go to McDonald's, go there. They still don't hire. So it is different, and they get frustrated. Oh, and then you add on to that also substance abuse, right? And then you also add mental illness.
Mental illness, crazy, right?
Yeah. So you add all those things in. It's difficult. It is difficult, and they get discouraged, and they self-medicate or they're on drugs. They can't pass the test. So then in their mind, they don't have anything else to do. And like you say, they do have to feed themselves. They do have to sometimes provide for family. So to say, you know, obviously, I don't want to encourage anyone to continue to commit crime. I don't want that to be done. But have I given advice to a client and say, look, man, you're doing what you're doing. If you're going to do that, you need to be smart about it in regards to the situation. If you get caught, this is what's going to happen. You know, you have these priors, you have this. It's going to be opening yourself up to much more. And I just want to get it. This, my grandmother. So, should we? And I don't want to say it as encouraging, you know, to commit crime. Just but trying to educate them, and in order so they can educate themselves to make better decisions and understand the risk. You know, they need to make a cost benefit analysis.
You know, and once they do that, the plan, and let me tell everybody, the plan when I do that, the plan is to, if you start seeing them save their money, you know, they say, oh, the money's gonna cost them, now they saving money. So you know how to save money now. Well, you're not gonna put that money just in a regular account. Have you ever heard of a high yield account? Have you ever heard of a Roth out of IRA? Because you can't get a 401 because guess what, you're doing what you're doing. Ain't no 401 out there on the street, you know. So there's a method to everything that we're doing at TLT. And also, once they get that point, that experience when we talk about they can't get a job here, they can't get a job there. Well, we want to offer them, you know, the trade, the knowledge of the trade. That's part of our Young World Changers program is the introductions to automotive training, the introduction to welding, the introduction to IT. You know, they're not going to go get a certificate from it, but they'll have a concept of what those trades are that they can, you know, go make a living, provide for their family. Pastor Tatum was here earlier. He mentioned the golden rule. You know, we have one of our sponsors, his company is Golden Rule Contractors. You know what I'm saying? So always looking for young talent to come on board to work. There's a lot of companies that are second chance companies, but you got to know the skills. Right. You know what I'm saying? You got to know the skills. I'm not going to say go to Warren and Healy to go be a prosecutor, you know, not a prosecutor, but a defense attorney, because, you know, you just don't have it. But there's a lot of companies out here where you can go to these warehouses and get a job if you can drive a forklift.
And I would also say, you know, people have to, you know, imagine this, people are prideful, even in their worst situation, you know. So people have to be willing to set aside that pride and come in at entry level. To come in at something that you say, wow, man, I don't want to make $12 an hour. Well, $12 an hour is better than no dollars an hour.
Exactly. You ain't looking over your shoulder at the same time.
Right. You know, that's exactly right. So, you know, sometimes you have to start somewhere.
Right.
And we have to get past that, and we will.
You know, that's the whole thing. It's that pride is huge. I experienced that myself without a doubt.
We all do.
And you gotta get humble because he will humble you regardless. One way, you gonna let him humble you, or that state's gonna humble you, one way or another.
Right.
But
Yes, sir.
I just want to dial back on some of your awards. We're just gonna dial back on because I was checking you out, looking at, man, you did some big cases. You got a lot of awards. Any of those stick out to you? That you say you pat yourself on the back, or you did some good work. You got a nice little portfolio going.
Well, and I try to, whether it's a case that I know I'm going to get some headlines or some reviews post trial or anything, I try to represent my clients to the best of my ability.
Okay.
Every single time, for every kind of case, whether it's a murder case, a capital murder case, or whether it's a possession of marijuana. And I tell you this, it's hard to spend the amount of time that I do with my clients and not develop some sort of relationship.
Gotcha.
I always have some sort of relationship with my clients, and I feel like a good attorney should. Like it's just, it's almost typical not to, because you just spend that amount of time together. So I want the best for them, even when they make, awful choices. I've tried capital murders, multiple murders, children murders, all kinds of things. So, these people have made awful choices. But I still want the best, and whether that's, a life sentence as opposed to a death penalty, whether it's 20 years as opposed to 40 years, I still want the best. And so that's kind of the thing. But I guess probably my most recent big case was the Billy Schmiermer case. He was probably by the definition a serial killer in Dallas. And so we ended up having to try it three times. First case we got a mistrial. Then we tried it 2 more times. He's indicted on 18 capital murders between Dallas County and Fallon County. So
Okay. One of your biggest cases.
yeah.
You mentioned spending time with your clients. I can imagine because you start spending time not just with the client but the client's family.
Yeah.
The spouse, the mom, the children. They come into the office and all that. That has to be rough. A rough deal. But and as you say, you give your clients your best of your abilities. You want the best for them, the best outcome.
I do.
Regardless, your advice is sound advice. Regardless if they hire you or go to the next person. The next lawyer is not going to be able to tell them nothing different from what you tell them, and so that's which is great, because prayerfully and hopefully, I won't never have to hire you again, and so unless I, get real rough and tough like, Mr. Dexter and give me a parking ticket, what I'm saying, and I'm calling you, hey, we got Mr. Dexter behind the camera, he got him a few parking tickets, so, but, with the people out here in our communities, when it comes to this type of, legal cases, hiring the right attorney is difficult. Tell us the difference. They don't have the money to do it. Tell us about the court-appointed lawyers. It's kind of like you got a bad rap.
They do. I do think that there's some misconceptions regarding court-appointed attorneys. I still take court-appointed cases.
Okay.
And I've seen with my own eyes. I'll take myself out of the equation, but I've seen, even when I was a prosecutor, I've seen some of the best attorneys in the state that are taking court-appointed cases, and the defendant or their family would fire them just because they were court-appointed.
Not knowing.
And then hire somebody that was just awful just because they hired them.
Wow. Okay.
And that's why, as we spoke earlier, it's about you need to research your attorney.
Okay.
I know people throw out names. Oh, my attorney's this, and call this, but research.
Okay.
I tell people all the time, not to sound funny, Google.
Yeah. Right.
Like Google.
Right.
You'll see. And call me.
Yeah.
Call me and let's talk.
All right. So Google, know the experience of it. What about knowing your case? What about educating yourself on that case?
Yeah. Well, you need to know. When you come in to speak to your attorney, you should at least have a bare bones knowledge in regards to the case, the penalty range, what like the reality of it. Like and you know, if more than anyone else in the room. I don't mean you personally.
Hey, I'm not offended about that.
I'm talking to like what a client, like the client knows more than anybody else what they did or did not do.
Right.
And so, and that's why, and a lot of folks, they still don't want to admit it. So I was like, I'm not saying it, but let's say that you did.
Right.
And I'll say these are the scenarios.
Yeah.
And then be honest with yourself, be honest with your family regarding, and understand the risk.
Yeah.
People say, oh, I'm gonna take it to trial, and that's fine. That's another. Speaking of that, that's another thing.
Okay.
Most attorneys don't try cases.
Okay. Most attorneys do not. If y'all didn't hear that, most attorneys do not try cases.
They don't want to try cases.
They don't want to try cases.
They are afraid to try cases.
Okay.
So you need to make sure that you have a lawyer who is willing to try a case and has tried cases. What is his trial experience?
Okay.
Don't get discouraged in regards to people looking at me like, well, what's your trial percentage?
Right.
Here's the thing: any good attorney, they're gonna have some losses.
Yeah.
They're gonna have convictions because there's gonna be a lot of evidence.
Right.
But ask them to look at how are they respected in the courtroom. I get cases all the time because they see the way that the judges talk to me, the bailiffs speak to me, the prosecutors, the defense attorneys. They just see my persona when I walk into the courtroom. I'm not being arrogant, but I'm confident when I'm in there.
Right.
I know what I'm doing, and more importantly, the prosecutors understand. And that will go into, this is a little close, so I don't want to risk this with Kobby or not.
Right.
Because I know he's gonna bang it here. So
It's more harder to play than the courtroom.
So
that's what you need. You need that attorney that's gonna go hard for you. And it's plain and simple.
And that's the thing. So then I get a lot of good deals. I get some dismissals. I get some reductions.
Right.
Because if it's close, they're like, well, is it worth it on this? Because I know Kobby. But somebody else that either they don't know or they know that's not gonna try it, they're gonna press him.
Exactly.
And he's gonna press their time.
Well, guys, I tell you what, we're here with Mr. Kobby Warren with I Got Charge and Warren Healy. I want to say special thank you to Dunkin' Donuts for this morning. We're here at Streetside Classic at our monthly Fort Wealthy Worth podcast show. And as y'all know, we say Fort Wealthy Worth wealthy. And it's not about money. It is about God, family, and community. And so, Mr. Warren, we're going to dive back into this. But we know the system, and when I say the system, the prison pipeline.
Yeah.
It's hard to break.
It is.
It's hard to break. One man can't break it. One community can't break it. To be honest, I think it's only going to get broke when God comes.
Yeah. That's probably true.
I never thought I'd ever be talking about this. Of course, I never thought I'd be doing any of this kind of work. But the prison pipeline system. How can hiring a good attorney, how can y'all be effective? Or how can y'all affect the system when it comes to these young men, young women out here getting these cases, not getting them the time, even if it's a plea, even if the reduction, how can we help these families and these kids by not going to prison?
Well, one, I tell people all the time, whenever the case is resolved and done, and whether everything's dismissed or whatever it is, and I tell them, I was like, it was nice to meet you, but I don't ever want to see you again. I don't want you to have to come back to see me again, unless it's to tell me, Mr. Warren, I'm doing great, thank you so much. But to come, I don't want to be hired again. Obviously, repeat business is good for me financially, but I'd much rather you not have to come back. I'd rather they learn the lesson, they educate themselves on the risk factors and how detrimental it was, because it affects, these crimes affects everyone. It doesn't only affect my client, it affects, if they're a parent, it affects their children. It may affect their actual parents, it may affect their siblings. And depending on how serious the crime is, it can affect the whole line of a family, a whole generational.
That's because I know. See, you said that. You said, hey, I don't want to see you again. I don't want your business again. I don't know how many companies don't want repeat customers. I mean, I'm thinking, of course, we're here at Streetside Car Dealership. Car dealership, they want to sell more cars to you. Your kids, the children.
Right.
Restaurants definitely want. Clothing stores want your business. Food, houses. I'm trying to just think what, man, that's something that's powerful. I never thought about that. I never thought about a client, a lawyer saying that to, their client, hey, I don't want to see you, that is powerful. And I pray that you don't see these kids again. I get the not the privilege, I get to see these kids again.
Yeah.
Because they're getting right back locked up. They,
Yeah.
When I first started this in 2005, one reason was my kids was not coming back. They was like, Mr. Taylor, your kid's not coming back. What else can you do? And I'm like, financial literacy. Well, I'm thinking I'm here with these kids all the time, but for me to start financial literacy, I had to start a nonprofit. And I'm like, why did I start a nonprofit? What is a nonprofit? I'm a truck driver. I'm from the streets in the truck. I'm like, what? Why? I'm here with these kids already. Why do I got to start a nonprofit to do this? But hey, we're not about me on this one. But as y'all notice, we started a nonprofit to educate our kids. I stick with it. God had me stick with it. But our kids are our future. Is that old saying?
Absolutely. That's true.
I believe that more companies, more people need to dive into our communities more, love on our kids a little more. That's all they're missing.
Yeah.
Is a little of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we don't know who's going to pour it into. We don't know because we don't know who poured it into us. But the seeds start taking root.
Well, I will tell you a distinction that, like what you just said there is who's going to pour into who. I know growing up, I know you're a few years older than me, but back in my day, or our day, I'll say, is who poured into us? Everybody, because the village was actually still there.
There you go.
We had neighbors. I heard you earlier, speaking to the pastor, you talked about Big Mama. We had aunts, uncles, just pouring into us. Hey, boys, hey man, stop all the mess. Young, come on, like quit. But now these children, there's around a village. And everyone's offended when someone is disciplining their child or speaking to their child or trying to correct this behavior. They're offended, as opposed to being receptive.
Exactly.
Because we just want the best.
That's it.
That's it. What your kid is doing, your child is doing is wrong. It's wrong.
Right.
But you don't want anyone else to take the steps, whether it's a school, whether it's a church, whether because if you don't correct, because if you're not correcting it, you don't have school correcting it, then the police are correcting.
That's the only way to go. Because it was that, what was that, early 2090s, babies having babies?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think...
that was like... With the mid-80s.
Yeah, yeah, we was kind of part of that, you know what I mean? But, now we start to see the effect of it. It did harm our community. But, when these youth come in or when adults come in to get cases, and they go to their attorney, they hire you. Now I got Mr. Warren and I got Warren and Healy law firm for me. You see my case, how do you pick your defense? How do you pick the strategy to, am I asking you to give out the secrets or anything like that?
Well, it's going to depend on every case is unique.
Mm-hmm.
One, we need to see if there's an affirmative defense, meaning is there a defense? Is there a defense? An affirmative defense means that I did do what they're saying, but I was the law allows it to be justified by that action. It's self-defense in a murder case. Was I protecting myself, and then protecting myself did the law allow me to protect myself in the way that I did? Can they prove the case? They have to be able to place my client at whatever scene of the crime they're saying. Can they place you there? Where were you? Do you have anything to corroborate what you're saying? Do they, were the drugs real? Is this person credible that's saying this female said that you did this to her? Is she credible? Is there any physical evidence? So a lot of times it's going to be dependent on the case, and the facts and circumstances that we have.
Well, I tell you what, I Googled something, and I don't know if this is true or not. You got to help me out.
Okay.
All right, so if you get...
Google's always right.
Google's always right. Google's always right. Well, they say that one of the best defense is insanity and intoxication.
No.
That is
absolutely incorrect.
Okay, so if I go do a crime, I start acting crazy, they ain't letting me out. Or if the cops come, I got that fifth, I start pouring alcohol down my throat. I got some of that PD. Can I say PD right now? Are we good, Mr. Doc? If I say P did it right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. You know, he in the trouble right now. I don't know, right? We want to put that out there. But, you know, everybody got some kind of alcohol. You know, we always pop bottles back in the day. And so, but the intoxication, the insanity, none of that is
So, listen to my term here.
Okay.
Voluntary intoxication is not a defense.
Okay.
Voluntary intoxication is not a defense. Meaning if you get drunk, if you pop pills, if you do a line, if you smoke this and you smoke that, and then you commit a crime.
Gotcha.
The fact that you were not saying that you weren't under the influence, you committed the crime, but it is not a defense.
Okay. See, Google forgot to put that volunteer part in front of it. That's what.
Secondly, regarding, and I think people, there's a misunderstanding regarding like mental insanity and incompetence. Like mental insanity is that a person does not know the difference between right and wrong.
Okay.
And that's a very, very high burden.
Okay.
Like, because as soon as, like, someone can be mentally ill, you know, they can be schizophrenic or bipolar or, you know, any of these diagnoses, but they know the difference between right and wrong. So say, you know, someone walks in here right now and shoots up,
Right.
and then they run out, they hide the gun, they run from the police. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to escape from responsibility, right? They knew what they did was wrong.
Exactly.
Now, then they catch him, and you know, he's shooting his foot. And so, yeah, he's obviously mentally ill. Right at the time of the incident, he knew the difference between right and wrong.
It was the best one that I heard was the guy, and I'm trying to think. I know I heard it. Did I see it? The guy went into the courtroom and he started eating what looked like his BC, but it was actually the Snicker bar. You know what I'm saying? And so he I don't know if he got off, got his sentence reduced or something, but he was smart.
Yeah.
That was a smart tactic right there. You know what I'm saying?
The thing, like mental, like we spoke about a little bit earlier. You know, mental illness is rampant right now, and I don't know if it's like an actual increase or it's just being diagnosed and recognized. I don't know I don't know which is which. But the problem is that our society doesn't have a place to place the mentally ill and the violent.
Okay.
You know, state hospitals and things like that, they're understaffed. We don't have enough beds. I mean, the wait in the local area between, you know, Dallas County and Tarrant County, the wait for a person who's found to be incompetent, meaning that they don't understand the nature of their offense, you know, the role of their attorney, the role of the judge, the role of the prosecutor, so they don't know what's going on.
Right.
I'm not saying that they are insane, just saying they're incompetent. So they have to go somewhere to get treated medically, get their chemical balance back together, and then they'll be brought back to, you know, to answer for the charge. The wait to go to these hospitals is over a year.
You got a place for someone.
It's over a year. So that means they just wait in the jail for over a year, and they finally get to the hospital. They get to the hospital, they regain themselves in over 3, 4, 6 months. And they come back.
Program.
Yeah, they come back and they have to answer that charge. And then depending on the nature of the offense, let's say it's a murder. You know, they just randomly on the elevator stab somebody. Yes, they are mentally ill. But now you're faced with the jury and or the judge is faced with, what do I do with a person who's one that's mentally ill, that won't take a medicine, and is violent?
Right.
And there's no place to put them. I can't just let them back out into the public.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. A lot of people misconceive that if I'm mentally ill, then I can get off. It's almost a lot of times that the term being aggravated back. Because, you know, if you've ever, you know, obviously I deal with mentally ill daily. If you've ever been close in a confined area with someone that's mentally ill, it's unnerving. Like you don't know what this person will do, is capable of doing. You don't know. You might go, oh, I can whoop this dude, but you don't know if pain registers the same way. Like you might be whooping him, but he's continuing to come.
Yeah.
You know, so
I ain't trying to do it.
it's unnerving. And some of these folks are dangerous. So a lot of folks, you know, they risk it. Well, I'm gonna go in and tell them crazy. That may not necessarily help you, brother. It could hurt you.
Right. Well, you know, you mentioned earlier about, you know, when you do get the sentencing and get, you know, locked up. Hopefully, well, I'm not gonna say hopefully, not in a mental facility, but if you need that, that's fine. But you want to discuss, I know, jury services.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the jury services.
So, you know, it's, you know, I don't know how many juries in my career I've picked. Hundreds, thousands probably.
Okay.
Every time people are just, they're looking and they're more creative in ways to get off of serving on a jury. People that are in our community, people that look like us, that just are refusing to serve. I think it's detrimental to the justice system. Because it's supposed to be a jury of our peers. You know, that's a lot of times people say, this isn't a jury of our peers. But how it works is, at the beginning of the jury selection, they'll bring in, say it's a murder case, they'll bring in 75 people that can qualify to at least sit on the jury. Doesn't mean they're going to make it, but at least qualify. So that means that we have to start off with who is going to actually answer that jury summons, who is going to, they receive that summons in the mail, they put it on the calendar, and they show up to the courthouse that day. Let's start there.
Right.
So that's where we have to start. And secondly, when they come up, there are qualifications. You know, they'll see, you know, any prior history, is there any crimes of moral turpitude, things like that, that would bar a person from serving, wipes out some of those. And then thirdly, it's once you get into the courtroom, there are other qualifications or disqualifications that will also be applied. And some are kind of, they're looking around and they're watching it. You might take notes, prosecutors taking notes, say something, you say, oh, they didn't like that, I'm gonna say that. And they're looking for reasons to get off. And it hurts because now there isn't a jury. You know, it's already known, it's already, you know.
I never looked at it like that.
Yeah, and so they're not there. And I'm not saying, you know, just because, you know, say my client's black and I'm a black attorney, that black jurors don't vote. I'm not saying that, and I don't pick my jurors like that.
Right.
But to have a jury of the peers that represents the community is important because everyone's experiences are different. And so they look at that and it's a little bit different than everybody else and they make that determination and decision whether or not they believe that evidence that's presented.
You know, that you just threw something just totally, I wasn't expecting that. Because, and I never got picked to go to the jury part inside the jury for the finals. Right. But I tell you what, that even when I go there, I answer the call. Don't get me wrong, I answer the call. But I'm wishing, and what I got to say to get out of it. Yeah. You know, and now I would say that, you know, if I get called again, if when, you know, I would, I guess, you should want to be on the jury now.
Yes, you should. Like it's an experience that I think, I mean, just a lot of people don't have an experience, especially, you know, in our community. For whatever reason, we don't want to serve. And so I hear things like, I can't trust the police, and I don't know the system is it, and that may be true. But if you don't qualify yourself right, then it's never going to change. So,
man, now I got something else to promote. Jury service.
Please do.
Because I never thought about that. You know, yeah. I have one of our brothers that works. He just went on a case. It was, he actually got picked. So yeah, I think it's 2 weeks so far. You know, it's a big case.
Federal case?
I believe so. He mentioned it. It's here locally, so it's going on. He's part of it, and which is now I'm gonna say, man, I'm glad you stepped up to the plate. You know what I'm saying? We need to all step up to the plate a little more on that. Okay, that's a good deal. So now you have your jury selection. You going through your trial. You got your defense picked. You get your punishment out of probation, you get jail, and you get out of jail parole. This is my whole thing is to find out how you act when you get out, when you're on parole. I had issues with that because I know when I got out, I got in trouble some more. See, I got in a little trouble. Tell us, what do they look for besides you doing what you're supposed to do, you know, to not get locked back up? But at the same time, remember, you need a place to stay, you need food in your belly, you need transportation to get to work, or try to find a job, you know. Is that stacked against? You got all the fees, the drug testing.
This is what
or is that your area? I'm sorry.
No. This is what I tell my clients at that point. I was like, one, like probation is just annoying, is what it is. But it's really just you're being monitored to do the things that everyone else does without having to be monitored. And I say it's annoying because you're gonna have to report, you're gonna have to provide your analysis, you're gonna have to, pay these fees, things like this. But I tell them there are two main things that you have to do while you're on probation. Everything else kind of works itself out. You do these two main things. One, don't get in trouble.
Okay, right. The obvious.
That's the first one.
Right.
Don't pick up new cases.
Okay.
Second, you have to show up for probation.
Okay.
You have
Show up and don't get in trouble.
to the money, we can deal with the money.
Okay. Okay.
If you have a dirty way, if you know if there's a drug problem or substance abuse issue, we can deal with that also. But if you don't show up, we cannot. There's not a judge in the area that's gonna lock you up for being poor. I promise you. I promise you.
So you guys,
But I hear that excuse, well, why didn't you show up because I didn't have money? There's not a judge in there that's gonna lock you up. I promise you.
now what about the ones that come out? Because I was kind of dumb in, I was kind of dumb in this area. Let me throw the money, pay all the money up front, and then I ain't gonna go. I ain't gonna. That didn't work out.
That's not gonna work out.
I had Judge Wilson. Yeah, man. Mr. Taylor. Every time I got in trouble, it seems to my court case will be on the Friday. Mr. Taylor, yes, ma'am. Go sit over there. Hear me out. Go sit over there. Well, when you go sit over on that bench,
Oh, you know what it is.
yeah, you got a weekend stay. You got a free vacation.
That's right.
And I tell you, that happened about 4 or 5 times.
She put you in the jury box. If you knew you weren't on the jury, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I wasn't on the jury, you know what I'm saying? So, but it made me learn, you know. I tell you what, luckily, I mean, look at experiences from afar. Of course, you made it through, you survived it. But I actually learned some valuable lessons through that, you know. And so, first I learned how to dress when you come to court.
Absolutely.
I tell y'all what, back then, you know, we was wearing gaiters. We starched down, you know, got a blue collar shirt. You might think you clean. You better have a jacket on.
Yeah.
I went in the court, I tell y'all, clean, had my jury on, you know, look on. Mr. Taylor, where you at? I'm looking at my turn up in court.
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor, go sit over there. I'm like, oh my God. That was the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm looking at my, what did I do? I got me a nice little steak. Come to find out, he was like, you need to have a suit on next time you go. She wants to see you in a suit. I'm like, man, why could she have told me that? You know what I'm saying? I would have found the suit, you know? But it's some valuable lessons. We have to learn how to dress. We can't go in there sagging. We can't go in there. Look at it.
I mean, it's not as bad as that anymore. We're obviously having to have a suit, but you know, it is to just to come in, you know, don't have a do-rag, you know, don't come out
a do-rag.
You know, but it's simple things that I when I first my early my girls, I don't like to tell my client this because he doesn't know. But now, if you feel like it's my fault if I don't tell them because they do it. I'm like, hey man, let's not smoke weed on the way to court until we walk in like this. Let's not do that. You know,
No hot boxing.
Yeah. You know, or you know, I tell them, I'm like, you don't understand how far. This one's a big one. This is a point to my daughter about this a lot. You have no idea how valuable just respecting other people is, especially in a situation like this. You know, if you come in respectful to the probation officer, respectful to the victims, respectful to the people you come in contact with, that's currency for later. It might not benefit you today,
Right.
but it might benefit you later. You might get that benefit of that. You've always been respectful when you come in. I normally send this in to the court. I'm not going to do it this time, but hey, let's get ourselves together.
Be respectful.
But if you come in and you got a bad attitude, you sag, you know, you just, no one wants to help you. Because you don't appear that you want to help yourself. You know, so that's why I tell my daughter, you know, old school, you know, just like my daddy was old school, taught me yes or no, sir. And to this day, I'm still yes or no, sir. And I tell my daughters, hey, it's yes or no, sir. And oh, dude, I said, it is old school. But I said, like, if I mess up, say I miss turning something in, or I'm supposed to be able to take a place, like a judge or a bailiff or a coordinator, they'll call me. Oh, did you know? I'm so sorry. All right, go. I'll take care of it for you. Little small thing, but if I'm a jerk, like if the attorney's a jerk, see, like, no, I'm gonna forfeit your client's bond.
Right.
We're gonna do all these other things. So it's all about how you treat people.
Yeah. So you represent yourself well, so your clients got a good reputation before they even go in there. You know, they got a better chance.
Absolutely.
You know, our kids are getting out, and I know this is not one of the areas. I just want to mention this right now. One of the issues that we're having, you know, they get out. You've been locked up for a year, 2 years. You getting out without an ID.
Oh yeah.
This is about the craziest thing. The government got us in there. I ain't gonna say, oh, they ain't happening, but they got them in there. They need to get these folks an ID so they can come out and have a better, you know what I'm saying? That's something that troubles me. I've listened to some more people who go down to Austin, who try to fight for these bills to make things happen, you know, and I respect what they're doing, and I can support that, what they're trying to do, because it's making our job a little harder.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't understand why they haven't. I say I don't understand why, but that pipeline pops back up in my head soon.
So I know that when they come out of TDCJ as an adult, they have an ID.
Right. So you're working with that
They have a
16
offender card, right?
Yeah.
But I never really thought about the juveniles coming out without an ID.
No birth certificate, no nothing.
Right.
And so we try to at least get GEDs. They make the job so hard, and you have these people in there. It should be done. You know, definitely should be done. Give them a step up instead of a step down when they come out.
Well, now I will say they do have resources, even if they're being held over here at Kimbo, or if they are, you know, in one of the TYC facilities. They do have an opportunity to get their GED. And I think their diploma, actually. I think they can actually get their diploma.
Right.
But that once again goes into having wise counsel. And like I said, I'm not talking about an attorney, I'm talking about, you know, a family member or a mentor, or somebody said, look, young man, anybody, while you're in here, let's not just waste time. Let's not just play ball or, you know, do these things or write raps or whatever. Let's at least come out. Let's be productive. Either start a trade or get our high school diploma. We're here anyway. Right. Let's start preparing ourselves and take
Reading.
steps.
Read some books.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's one of my things I do not like, but I'm picking it up. Books are good for you.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's knowledge.
Exactly.
Knowledge.
You know, and so that's one of the things that you know, I'm just, if anybody listening, you know, got to find a way to get these kids their IDs. And so now this last part we have, it's going to be the fun part, I think. It's just the how-to parts. You know, the most common defense that, I know it probably goes on the crime, but do you have a most common defense that you use, or is it just depends on the offense?
I mean, the top two are always, it wasn't me.
Okay. Right.
It just wasn't me.
Okay.
And the other is self-defense.
Okay. Wasn't me, didn't do it.
Yeah, but the wasn't me is all. I mean, here's also another problem, right? It's 2024.
Right.
It is very, very difficult to go somewhere now and not be caught on camera. It's also very, very difficult. It's just the
tracking, yeah.
It's tracks everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And now, you know, like a lot of times I have to point out to the juries, you know, now what they are able to ping everything is the device. The device itself. You know, the state is going to try to equate the device with you, which isn't a bad, but they have to prove it.
Okay.
But they can say that your device is at these locations at this particular time.
Right over that crime.
Right.
Yeah, but you want that though.
And the vast majority of this is with us all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no doubt.
Because it's with us in the bathroom. It is right beside you when you sleep. It is very rare that this is not with us.
You know, I'm gonna take this opportunity. I mentioned to you earlier when we had Pastor Tatum. Pastor Tatum mentioned something about when he started following God's will for his life. You know, he had a decision to make with the following God, you know, seeking to have his wife. So I'm gonna take this opportunity to say I love you to my wife, right? Because I saw this opportunity because my wife watched Ellen, the TV show, all the women shows, you know, and somebody did a crime and they left their phone at home, and when they did the crime, I was at home. My phone was at home. So just that right there made me register by taking this opportunity. You know, I'm blessed to have the wife that I have. You know, I have taken a separate path in my life right now, working in the community. We didn't see this coming when we got married 15 years ago, you know, and so I just want to say thank you, and keep up with your work. Doing all right. So, you know, hey, she's doing all right. You know,
Keep up the good work.
keep up the good work. You know what I'm saying? But no, I got a great wife. We're gonna have to go grab some dinner. We're gonna do a barbecue.
Yeah.
We mentioned about doing a round table.
Yeah.
We can do the round table with the wives afterwards or whatever, and have a little fun. But yeah, man, I got a nice little crazy. So, but yeah, love you and keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. So, all right, but back to this. All right, so our next thing, we say the most common defense wasn't me, didn't do it. Now, what is the weakest defense? and I know you're pondering on that. It should be an easy question. We just had the NFL draft. So the weakest defense is the Cowboys defense. So I hope y'all got that right there. I had to slide that in there. I hope y'all got that, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, the weakest defense in the playoffs, you know, they just crumble.
Aren't you still a Giants fan?
Man, you know I am.
Oh, man, come on. Y'all even have a quarterback?
We do, DJ. Danny Dimes. We got Danny Dimes. Man, you say, see, you know, that's another story on that round table we're going to get to. We'll start chopping it up about that. But I had to take that shot. You know what I'm saying? It was just too easy. You know what I'm saying? It's like the Mavericks last night. Just an easy shot. You know what I'm saying? But no, the weakest defense. The weakest defense.
I mean, so I'll say it like this. So let's say that in a trial situation, in a trial, the client always has the right to testify or not. That decision is up to the client.
Okay.
Regardless of my opinion, what I tell them based on the evidence that they have, based on the information that we have, based on the prior history, based on what I believe that you're going to say, I don't think it's a good idea. If he wants to, he or she wants to, I have to prepare them and present that for them.
But it's not a good idea to get on that stage.
I'm not saying always.
Oh, okay.
But it's going to be dependent. And that's where it goes back to what we talked about, you know, a little while ago, is knowing and trusting your lawyer.
Okay.
And your lawyer being able to articulate why you should or why he believes you should or should not take the witness.
Okay.
And also, the person knows themselves. You know, 'cause it's getting up from that defense chair, walking up to that witness, like literally, your life. That's you're going to be speaking about your life.
Right.
And you know, and you also know what you've done and or didn't do. You also know what you're going to say. Is it even believable or credible? You know, we tried on our part now. We tried a case where the client wanted to testify. Told me a horrible idea. We did a mock, cross-examination of him. Still a horrible idea. Made a record. It was all a horrible idea. Make a record means that put some information in front of the judge and on the court report so that it was clear. He still wanted to, and it didn't work out.
Right.
But then there are some cases where if we're going to go to trial in this case, it only makes sense for us to go to trial if you are going to testify.
Okay.
So it's going to depend on the case itself.
Okay.
Now, some cases actually you should not take the witness stand.
Okay.
Others, depending on the only viable way to get this defense in front of the jury is by the person taking the witness stand.
Now, we kind of hit on this next question a little bit earlier. The hardest crime to defend. I believe you mentioned crime against children.
Yeah.
I think it was a couple more in there. Crime against children, sexual crimes. It's hard to defend. I think with those crimes, it's also add mental. I think anybody got to be something wrong with you to do harm to kids.
So obviously, we're kind of twofold. Like when we're dealing with a violent offense, elderly or the young. So children or the elderly, because they're by nature they're weaker than the rest of us, and so everyone wants to protect them in whatever kind of scenario. So if we're dealing with a case where they're older people have been scammed or they've been hurt or they've been murdered, whatever it is, then we just make it because the jurors want to protect them, and so they're going to punish. They're going to punish harshly.
See that?
The most the difficult part is like child molestation, child aggravated sexual assault, child things like that. Because a lot of times there really is no evidence. Like it's simply the child saying this person did these things. Like the vast majority of the cases, there's no DNA, there's no anything to corroborate what this kid is saying. It's just an outcry.
Okay.
And once again, jurors want to protect children. Just in that situation, they want to protect children, and they want to believe that the child will not lie about something like this.
Right.
So the first question, even if they don't say it out loud, but the first thing that they're honestly saying is why would this kid lie?
Right.
So it just makes those much more challenging.
All right, and so I got a couple more. This right now, when you mentioned earlier with the cases, the plea deal. Are the plea deals more in favorable of the prosecutor? Is it for the client? Is there a way?
Well, it's gonna kind of depend in regards to, sometimes pleas are absolutely necessary.
Okay.
You know, just the risk involved in the trial is way too high. You know, literally it can be a difference between coming home and not coming.
Right.
Like, I mean, ever. So those pleas can be beneficial to the client, but it may be difficult for the client to see that because it's still a lot of time. You know, what I have a client do in 2 days or 20 years, like, I've never used the term it's only or it's just. You know, it's just 5 years. It's only. I never say that, no matter what amount of time it is, because regardless of someone being confined, they're away from their family and their friends. So I never say those things, but sometimes the client has to make a decision like, well, do I take this 5 or do I risk getting 30?
That's I get a nutshell. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that. You know,
But with a reality, like with an attorney to being able to articulate the viability of receiving that much higher sentencing charges, you know, and them understanding, you know, not some that are just like trying to scare, you know, as we spoke earlier, know your lawyer.
Right.
Will this lawyer go to trial? Some that won't go to trial because they're going to make that 30 cents. It's an absolute payment. If you don't, you're going to get it because they don't want to go to trial. You know, and so, you know, my thing is, I want to explain to them, so sometimes ad nauseum, that as long as you understand the risk.
Right.
You know, I have this deal on the table, and I think it's a good deal based on the case. So, and you keep hearing me say these few words, based on evidence,
Right.
and what I believe they'll be able to present. Based on those things and my experience in these cases, this is what I believe, and I'm gonna tell you why, and I'm gonna show you why, and I'll tell your family why, and show them why. And if after all that you still say, hey, no, I don't want that deal, I want to go to trial, that's fine. And I get ready to rock and roll. A lot of times, and I tell them this too. I say, look, by the time I finish arguing and closing arguments to the jury, I will have you and your family thinking you're agreeing. I will have your family think. And we call it trial fog. You know, the attorneys, we call it trial fog. In the middle of the trial, you've been working on this trial, you have your defense, you put in all this work, and you start to believe. You know, your defense, we do believe. But the evidence is always the evidence, and it's insurmountable.
Okay.
To a certain extent. So then they're convicted and they get to this time as we're sitting there, you know, my client's sitting there looking shocked face. I'm like, too, like, I just tried this really good case. And they're looking at me like, oh, you did a really good job.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, I told you.
Yeah.
Early on, this was the high probability this was going to occur.
Yeah, that probability is something, you know. But man, I appreciate you coming out. We out here at Streetside Classic. We are at our monthly Fort Wealthy Work podcast show. Go to our website. We want to thank all our sponsors. We want to thank you for tuning in. If you have any family, friends that need any advice from Mr. Warren here, we got Kobby Warren from Warren and Healy. I got charge.com. And, you know, we're going to get back. Hey, a lot of stuff. We went over a lot of stuff today. And so, and I know I probably missed something. And that's why I'm going to ask you. I asked you a lot of things. Is there anything else that I missed? Or what would you say to a family out here that's struggling, you know, who needs that attorney, from researching? Let me see if I can dial it down. Yeah. Research your crime.
Sure.
Research your lawyer. See what the experience, because he might not be that type of lawyer. Right. Research your lawyer, and basically know your crime. You know, well, don't do the crime, but in this situation, we already know.
Right.
And educate yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, you don't want to go into a lawyer's office and not know something about your situation.
Right.
Okay. And so, you know, we appreciate you. I appreciate what you do, and we hopefully. Our community, our people that we reach, know that once they reach you, they're going to get a lawyer that's for them and for their family. Right. You know, yep. And so I got charge.com. You pull them up. They're going to have all their contact. I believe you got Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah, Dallas, Fort Worth, federal, state. You need this, we'll go.
All right. Mr. Cole,
Hey, bro,
thank you, sir. Thank you. I
Proud
know,
of you, man. I appreciate everything you've been doing, man.
Man, we just out here just trying to get it. It ain't me. You know me. We'll still be. Oh. Let me see. Is it now? I'm gonna say that for the next one.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, you know me. We'll still be in the driveway. We'll still be in the driveway. You know what I'm saying? So, we're gonna say that for the next one. You know, and but man, great times.
Yeah,
But,
man, I appreciate it.
thank you for sticking with us, man. You know, doing nonprofit work is slow. It's a grind. You know, Pastor Tatum mentioned that's the same gram, different grind out here. You know, and so, but we ain't stopping. You know, we never have.
Yeah.
You know, that ain't in us.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
So why not grind harder for our community and our people in it? You know what I mean? So I think that's how we built. We just getting started. I guarantee y'all, God has some plans for us. We about to go out of here and help some families get what they need.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Get what they
Let's
need
do it.
and have some fun. Y'all with us? You don't have a choice. Full Wealthy Word, God, family, community. Oh. Always come get your box of Joe. Well, you ain't getting the box. You're going to get you a cup. Caffeine, Classic, and Community here at Streetside Classic. Thank Miss Mary. Let me tell y'all my joke. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Dexter. Big Papa, Mr. Dexter, having his first daughter next week. She's coming to the world, so he won't be sleeping for a while.
Right.
But I went into Dunkin' Donuts today, and the ladies was working hard. You know, the machines, they were doing it, they were testing and everything. And so I said, let me lighten the mood up. So I threw one of my little corny jokes at them, you know. So what do y'all call two cows and one is spying on another? Two cows, one is spying on another. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? A stakeout.
Wow.
That's it. We're closing it down.
That's a stakeout, man. You know what I'm saying? So what do police do, lawyers? Stakeout
God.
is all here, right? Now you can't get no jokes better than that. Full Wealthy Word Podcast Show. Hey, love y'all. Thank y'all for watching. We're gonna keep it rolling for a little bit. We got a couple more people. We want to. Oh, you're not getting on? You dressed for it, man. You styling today, man. You gotta let the people see the style. Hey, we thank you, Mr. Kobby.
Appreciate it.
We'll chop it up. Let's go get a photo, man, of us in the car.
Okay.
Our little car business.
Like